What's up, everybody? John Stringer here. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Alignment Podcast, where I am delighted to bring my dear friend and amazing artist, teacher, and soul, none other than Haji, the man, the myth, the living legend. What's up, brother? Welcome.
Wow. Wow. That was a lot. Thank you, brother. I'm trying to receive all of it right now.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. Yes,
Wow.
indeed.
Wow, it's
I
so
call you that,
wonderful.
my friend, because you're living the dream that many have, and I've watched you grow, watched you expand, watched you assist others and serve in a big way with your talents, with your gifts, with the many experiences you've had. So let's dive in and tell people about a little bit about that. Um, First, in a sentence or two, when it comes to alignment, and I talk about alignment as aligning with the source of life and being able to follow its will for our lives as the designer or co-designer of our soul's blueprint so that we can claim our birthright, right? For
Right.
whatever that feels like for you,
Mm.
uh, in a couple of words or a couple of sentences, what is your relationship with that source of life, and how do you cultivate that alignment?
When I think of that, that's a beautiful question, by the way, too. When I think of alignment and how in reference to my life, the phrase I would say would be know yourself to know your purpose. There's a mission, there's a path that each of us have had walked down through our lives. There's a path, and that path has been made not just to benefit us, but to benefit others. And when you can recognize the gift that's been left along the challenge, along the easy road, whatever your path is, and you embody it, learn it, develop a relationship with it, you pass that on. That to me is alignment. That was a long sentence. That was a paragraph,
But
but
bro, I was following
that's,
every
I
morsel of
know.
it. I'm
Right.
locked in. I'm locked in, brother. That
I
was
know.
beautiful.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Mhm.
perfect. So let's talk about that journey for you and what
Sure.
it's looked like. I
Sure.
know a lot of it has involved music,
Yeah.
travel, so
Yeah.
many things. So if you were to go back to maybe the most pivotal, most important um, points outside of birth,
Sure.
unless you want to
Sure.
cover that too,
Sure.
what
Sure.
would
Because
you
I
say are some
remember.
of the milestones of that journey for you that's led
Sure.
you here?
So let me start at the beginning. So I was just the story that kind of emphasizes my first relationship with sound and transformation and sound of the sacred. I was maybe about a 4-year-old boy. I was sitting on a cold Southern Baptist church pew in Atlanta, Georgia, a
Hmm.
small little painted white church with a handful of us in there. And I remember that I was sitting on this cold bench and two deacons stood in front of the congregation. And this is very a pivotal time in my life. And they would read from the Bible a verse like, I know a change is gonna come. And then the congregation would echo that same verse, you know, brother, already, would echo that same thing from their passion, from their relationship with God, from their suffering, from their faith. I know a change is gonna come. And that right there was the first experience of sound and sacred that I had.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
it's just it's feel it, and a lot of us don't think of that as sacred, but that is,
Yeah.
from my experience, that is sacred. So that kind of started me along a path of developing more of that within myself, and then now in this essence, showing other people how to connect with it themselves.
Love that, brother. And so your experiences in connecting with the sacred and
Mm,
sound have been
mm.
various, have taken you to different countries. Talk a little bit about that journey and
Sure, sure,
how you got into the music, where it's taken you, etc.
sure, sure. So the first thing I got to begin with is science of mind. Um, I had just left a ashram and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I went to a spiritual. It was a predominantly black um, science of mind church, which
Can we go
those are
back
very,
first, though?
yeah.
Can we
Go
go
right ahead.
back?
Go ahead.
Where was
Go
the
right ahead.
ashram?
Okay, the ashram was in in Norway,
Norway. Wow. Okay.
Tønsberg, Norway.
And
Yeah,
let's talk. Let's see. You skipped a bunch. Let's talk
I
about.
did.
I want to hear a little bit
There's a
about what
lot.
took you to Norway to an ashram, and then
Okay,
take us to Science of Mind, if you don't mind.
gotcha. I don't mind. So I believe it was 2000 or 2012, 2012, I believe. And I wanted to spend my New Year's in a more elevated way. And I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was going to this church and they told me about this guru, this brother that lived off out into the woods of South Carolina, had a huge ashram, farm, lake, everything, and to come out there for New Year's to set some good intentions. So I was like, that sounds like a great plan for New Year's. So went out there, met Swami G, is what I call him. He's a brother from Sierra Leone that studied under Osho and a bunch of other teachers, and his life mission was to create an ashram to bring people to for transformation, for growth. So I went out there, had a wonderful experience with him. He owns an ashram also in Norway and at one point in Kenya, but the one in Kenya closed. So he was doing a retreat about 3 weeks later in Norway. He said, Haji, are you able to make it to Norway with me? And we just had a great camaraderie, and one thing led to another, and I was able to take a trip to Norway, and I stayed there for a number of months. And
Beautiful.
just, yeah.
And so, what led to you were talking about Science of Mind after you
Sure,
came back from Norway?
sure.
What led to that?
So I had a friend that invited me to a Science of Mind church in North Carolina when I returned from Norway, and just one of those mystical connections. Hey, what you doing on Sunday? Nothing. You want to go to church? I don't know if I want to go to church or not. Yeah, come on. Like, I don't know, brother. I'm good. But come on. So I went through and just loved it, fell in love with the Reverend, who was the Reverend over it at the time, and the community. I'd never seen anything like it before, what they were talking about, Science of Mind, and really get into it. So then I wind up, the Reverend somehow learned I did music. And then she said, oh, well, you about to be the choir director. So I was like, okay, I'll go along, because I was in it, like, speaking into existence. I show up, I am the answer I'm looking for. So I
There you
was
go.
into it. And I remember the Sunday I showed up, I was like, listen, I want to let everyone have an announcement that we're going to be starting the choir coming next Saturday. So if you ever play an instrument, and at that time, I played about 12 different instruments. So I said, if you ever played an instrument, a bass, or ever want to play an instrument, come on Saturday. I'm going to show you how to play. We're going to create this band and let it flow together. So in about 2 months, we had our first session. And actually, at the beginning, I started, who was originally there was these 3 old Black women, and bless their hearts, they couldn't hold a note with a bucket. If they all had a bucket in their hand, they could not hold a note. And they just weren't doing this. Anyway, I had to ask them to step aside, and we
Right.
created a band and created songs, and it became a beautiful expression. It was my connection with Science of Mind. And then I wound up going to Agape to play, because I went to a Sulamar, which is like a conference where all the leaders in ministry from Science of Mind and Unity come together and have. So I met Ricky Byers out there, and then
Nice.
something led to another, and they invited me out to play, and that just opened up the world for other things happening after that. All right.
That's so beautiful, man. So that was the journey into the combined sacred Science of Mind, opening up into kind of a community practice, if you will, and
Mhm.
then becoming a leader in the music side of things, all bringing
Right.
all those gifts to serve there. That's beautiful,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
So I almost want people who are unfamiliar, who might be listening, to give them a little taste of what science, what appealed to you about Science of Mind specifically. What did you, what allowed you to stay there after that invitation?
So throughout my life, my well, real quick, I should probably preface this as well. Growing up, my father was an atheist. My parents got divorced. My mother remarried a Southern Baptist preacher who became a pastor. So I grew up with a stepfather who was a pastor, while my father was an atheist. From very young, I've
What a
always,
contrast.
yes, had questions and didn't. I was a 6-year-old wondering why a leaf fell, if it fell from God or some other, really thinking about things that 6-year-olds shouldn't be thinking about, I don't think, at that time. But that's the path that I was walking. So bringing that forward to when I heard Science of Mind, I studied Buddhism. I studied so many different other spiritual approaches. And I like the practicality, especially the affirmative prayer. and actually taking the classes, because to go to the church is nice on Sunday, it's community, but to take the classes is where you really get the meat of the teaching and the practicality, how you apply it towards your life. And then you have other people around you that are doing it too. So I started taking classes, and it really, affirmative prayer did it for me because I practiced it and I manifested from that. I still do. Like you can't
For
tell me
people that
nothing
don't know
different.
what that is, tell me a little bit about affirmative prayer.
So affirmative prayer in essence is depending on what school you thought you're from, a 5 to 7 step process that affirms, from my perspective, elements of connecting with source and then drawing from that space what you desire, aligning yourself with it. And it's a process of different prayer or different ways to ask or ways to affirm what you want into yourself. It's like you're connecting with what it is that you're desiring first. And I've seen it. It's happened. I've traveled the world from it, because that's what happened next. I started traveling around the world after playing at different Science of Mind churches, and
What were you affirming at that time?
My
Or
brother.
give us
So,
an example of how you would affirm that led to you traveling around the world.
oh my goodness, I'm knowing that source. No. First, I got to remember. I'm knowing that God. Knowing that love. That God is wisdom, truth, expansion, and freedom and ease. Freedom and ease, especially. And then I just went through the whole prayer about negating what doesn't serve me, what's not there. I am aligned with it. I know it. I see examples of existing. And one thing that my
Yeah,
teacher
I'm
did.
feeling all of that, brother. Keep on,
Yes,
keep on,
yes.
man.
And
That
then
feels good.
one thing that my teacher did that was very interesting, and she was like sassy. She was like, and I expected and demanded, and she's put that into the process. I was
Nice.
like, oh,
You snap
okay.
the circle too, right? That's beautiful.
I was like, okay, I demanded and expected in the name of all of truth. I draw it to me, and so it is. And then,
So it is. Come on.
woof. So that's what hit me. That was one of the practical things, besides the community, besides even the songwriting for me, because I'm a musician. It gave me a new avenue to do spiritual music, if I'll be very honest, because I've always done spiritual music, but I never had the type of avenue that Science of Mind and Unity has provided for me to travel and to play and to express.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And for those listeners that don't know, because I know I have a diverse amount of listeners, Unity is like this school of, I'm going to call it New Thought. I think that's the umbrella that
That's better.
Science of Mind, Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living all kind of fall under. And tell me if this is correct or not. Did Science of Mind churches become Centers for Spiritual Living? I can't remember the history.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I think it's
Science
something
of
like
Mind is the umbrella of the spiritual centers. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So just for anyone listening, when he says unity, that's unity is amazing. Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living, amazing centers. Check them out. There's usually some in whatever city you're in. We got a ton of them in Atlanta,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
beautiful. And then you mentioned Agape for the listeners that don't know. If you ever saw that movie, The Secret, Agape was run, I think, co-founded by Michael Bernard Beckwith, who he was the brother with the locks, and then his former wife was Ricky Byers Beckwith, who is now Ricky Byers. That's who Haji was talking about. So just wanted to make sure the listeners was in on everything that I was
Right.
picking up on.
Right. There was some nuances being laid out, but yeah, but
Exactly,
you
man.
and I have swam in the same oceans
Yeah,
or ponds like many times. It's really
so true,
grateful
brother.
to watch you and to watch you grow and build your bands and your experience, even being a part of your situations you've been doing. It's been really a
Yes.
wonderful journey to be along with you, for
And
sure.
we got to do it again, man.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of awesome times we've got to collaborate together, and
Right.
I look forward to way more. it's
Right.
it's
Right.
been it's been just a few, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got to make that happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about after Science of Mind. I know you end up in
Yes.
Bali. So
Okay.
in fact,
Yeah.
one of my wonderful friends met you there. How did you end up going to Bali? And then let's definitely get to India.
Okay. I'm
Like to
glad you
talk
said
about
that.
that too.
Glad you said that. So Bali came as a result of playing at Agape.
Okay.
So when I was playing at Agape, I played there for the first time, was starstruck, was amazed by the energy, such amazing, pure, just
Mhm.
beautiful energy of people with beautiful intentions, as you well know. And for those that are into Science of Mind, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But after playing up there, I was selling my CDs. I don't miss that grind at all, brother. I haven't been playing that much, but I don't miss that at the moment. Being bummed, and it's just me too. I had to ask for help anyway. For those that don't know, after you play at these centers, you have the option of selling some merchandise to be able to get extra funds and also share more of your music with the rest of the audience. So afterwards, I was trying to get money, get change, get CDs, talk, communicate. Oh my God, your blessings be so,
Time
you
stuff.
know, can I just tell you my life story real quick? Because I feel like your song unbirthed it. Okay, go ahead. So anyway,
Yeah.
all that's going on. You know, I'm talking to you. I ain't talking to nobody
Yeah.
else right now besides you, because you know exactly what
That
that
is
feels
too
like.
funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. But I remember this woman walked up to me and she's like, excuse me, have you ever thought about traveling or playing overseas? I was like, yeah. So, well, you should take my card and please contact me. And she walked out. And then I looked at her card later after all the commotion had gone. And it was this woman named, oh my goodness, Peg. Peg, I forget her last name, but Peg in actuality was the founder and owner of Bali Spirit Festival. And she happened to be in church at that particular Sunday because she was visiting. And one thing led to another. And I was in Bali playing the Bali Spirit Festival and then other places as well too. Yeah, so that's
Love
the
that, man.
Bali Spirit Festival story.
And that's how you, or I believe it was Annie, now Annie Pergrossi, but um,
Yes.
Annie was the one telling me she met you there in Bali.
Yep. Yep. We
So
had a really
that was
nice
so cool
connection.
to find out you knew her. I was like, what? You know, you know
Bali's
her?
a hub, or it used to be, if anything. Bali's like people used to come together. Just that traveling, it just connects you with so many different people.
That energy, I went to, where was Spirit Fest hosted? What
Abood,
city? Yeah,
Abood,
that's where I went. Okay.
yeah.
But not during Spirit
I
Fest.
thought you played Bali Spirit Festival. I don't know why I thought I saw you on stage
I
playing.
wish. That would be nice.
Interesting. But let's
Maybe
let's
you,
make that happen.
yeah, I was
Let,
gonna
let-
say maybe you were seeing it coming.
definitely let's make that happen. Okay,
Right.
but please continue.
But when I did visit, however you pronounce Ubud or
Abood.
Abu, thank you.
Mhm.
The energy there was so healing and very much for the root chakra for me. It
Mm,
opened something up to where I cried like a baby, bro. It
wow.
was beautiful work there. So,
But you were doing work there. You were actually facilitating a retreat or something, weren't you? What was that
well,
about?
so I got invited to what was it called? I don't even remember what it's called. Some
Yeah.
transformative event, and I was hosting these morning meditations, and
Yeah.
that's where I met this amazing intuitive named oh God, I can't. If she watches this, she's gonna be like, I can't believe
You
you
better.
forgot my name. My wife's here. What is the intuitive's name we met? I met at Bali that we did all these retreats. Arlene, thank you.
Arlene.
Arlene Moshe.
Save for the wife. Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
baby. So Arlene Moshe met her there, bro, and
Mm,
she was at the meditation and says, "Oh wow, your guides, the angels assigned to you, are telling me have a message for you. They're coming through right now. Would you mind if this is right after we did the meditation? She just
mm.
says it. Would you mind if I shared with you what they're telling me? And then she goes on to describe the front of my house, the car to
Wow.
park there, the bicycle is
Wow.
there.
Wow.
Described our daughter Jolie, and then goes on to tell me a message from the angels about our daughter, and
Wow.
it changed everything with my relationship with our daughter. So Ubud holds a special place in my heart.
Well, I
Or
see,
I'm
brother.
not even saying it right. Abud,
And
how'd you say it?
I get booed, but I
Abud.
understand what you're saying. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Wow.
yeah. But anyway, let's get back to
Yeah.
you, my brother.
Okay.
So after Bali, you
Mm.
did Spirit Fest. At some point, did India come before that or after?
India came before that.
Before that. So let's go
Yes.
there. What was
So
what was
so
that
to
experience?
share the setup for the India story, I was traveling to Australia. I was doing a 2 month tour that I set up all myself, and had like one part of it was sponsored by a record label there, but the most part was me getting there, making it happen. So
Right.
I was doing a 2 month long tour. I was in Melbourne. It had been my second week, maybe third show. The morning after that show, I was going for a bike ride. A car stopped in front of me, put on the brakes. The brakes were a lot more workable than I thought they were. And I flipped over the bike, landed on my arm, and fractured my arm. Could not finish the tour.
Oh
I
wow.
felt, and I had invested all my money, not all, but I invested a large amount of money into it. So at that point, I just went back because I was renting out my house while I was traveling, came back to my house, kicked the person out of the room, whoever was staying there. It flowed easily. And I just felt kind of depressed. Something was just felt kind of low. And I had been having this dream for the last year, about every other month, of me walking down this road, and there's an old man with long beard and a turban, and he's holding something behind his back. And as I approach him, the man, without saying a word, hands me this instrument that's behind his back, and without saying anything, points to me to continue walking along my path. Then I wake up. I kept having that dream over and over again. And I recognized that instrument was a sitar. So somehow my research went to Varanasi, and I had a dear friend, after I fractured my arm, after about 2 months, it was feeling much better. Maybe 4 months, I was feeling better. She bought me a ticket to India, just to get there and get back. And I stayed there for 3 months. And I went to India for the purpose of finding a sitar and a sitar teacher. And I flew into New Delhi. And then it was the day before Holi, which is the celebration where you get smacked in the face with paints and stuff, literally smacked in the face with paints and stuff. So it was the day before that. So I woke up in the morning
to
paint.
Arrived?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so arrived in the city of New Delhi. And then after New Delhi, I drove down to Agra, because I spent a lot of time in my life as a devotee of Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I've lived in ashrams for so anyway. So I
didn't know that either. That's a whole.
Oh, really? Topic. That's a brother. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff mixed in here. So then I made my way down to Krishna's birthplace, and then to Varanasi. And Varanasi is where I stayed for 3 months. I spent the first 3 days walking through the streets. The streets are like snakes, like they wind, like the corridors and stuff, and it connects. And so I remember exploring the city, looking for a sitar teacher or a sitar shop owners. And I remember the first 3 days I had maybe sit down with 12 different sitar shop makers, and they spoke broken English, and we would figure stuff out and have the best chai tea in the world. But there was this one teacher that I sat with, and he said, "Oh, Haji Bai," because you put Bai on the back of it if you have affection for someone. "Oh, Haji Bai, music for an Indian is far more than just for pleasure or entertainment. Music for an Indian is food for the soul."
That's good.
And when he said that, I was teleported back to that hard wooden pew with those two deacons standing out there saying in the congregation, and it made a connection right there. And that's really what opened me up. He wanted to become my teacher, but that's what opened me up to the devotional service of music and how music can be used to transform and to honor. And you know all about this because you feel that in your heart, you express it thoroughly. But that's where it really made the connection from different cultures, different spiritualities, different everything can all unify under this umbrella of sound and sacred, or the intention behind it. So I wound up studying with him for 2 months. We would sun gaze off of the Ganges River that flows through Varanasi. Just had so many amazing experiences there. But when I came back, that's when I really started to move into a space of service, a space of holding space for people to have to honor their inner musician, their inner part of themselves that maybe they have a block that says I can't do it because I'm too old, or I can't hold a note with a pail of bucket if I want to, or it's just not my gift. It's not, or for people that really know that they feel something inside, that something has to be unlocked, I create a container for that now, and that's kind of the work that I've moved into.
And so let's talk about that work. Perfect segue.
Sure.
And specifically, let's talk about when you do this work, do you work with people who, let's just say, if you were to hear them sing, they might be pitchy.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the others might say, they can't really sing, but they're trying, but have a difficult time finding pitch. Do you work with people like that in the work that you do, or are you mainly just working with people who can carry a tune and you got to be able to sing in order to do this? I want to clarify that for the listener.
Sure. I'll be very clear. I work with some of the people that have been the most traumatized by their voice, meaning they don't have a relationship with their voice. Mm-hmm. They're like, they're just starting out. And my approach and it's not necessarily a technical approach. It's a relationship approach. and how you approach your voice, the space you create, the state you create in yourself, and then approach your sound. And I
Mm,
guarantee I've seen it over and over again that people have breakthroughs. They move through barriers once that space is created. And that's one of the gifts that I've
mm.
worked on and also have been given is to be able to hold space for that kind of expression to happen.
That's
So
so beautiful.
it's an opportunity, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what that work looks like, because
Sure.
I know, but the listeners probably like, wait a minute,
Sure.
you work with what does that look like? What is it?
Sure.
How do you do it? And how could
Gotcha.
they get involved?
Gotcha. So I have 2 ways coming up, but I'll share the first one for right now. On January 13th, I created a course called the Holistic Ukulele Holistic Ukulele Songwriter Immersion. And it's
And
an 8 week.
before you describe that totally,
Sure.
I apologize for interrupting you, but I want to set that up, um, because when I saw you first create this, I think I told you I reached out. One, I thought it was brilliant. Two,
Mm,
I couldn't believe the price you were charging. Thought it was way
yeah.
too low.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
three, I thought it was the most comprehensive thing I have seen. I have a course where I teach people how to tap into their genius, how to write songs, how songs are composed, and all of that stuff. But I don't work with people who um, want to sing but can't, or
Right.
think they can't. Like
Right.
that's not my what my
Right.
stuff is for. I don't even work with people who want to learn how to play a instrument. Like
Yeah.
that's not my lane. When I saw
Yeah.
yours, I'm like, whoa, he's got both of these together.
All right.
Like this
All
is
right.
brilliant. So I'm like, look, I think I reached out to you. I was like, bro,
You
how
did.
can
I remember.
can I please share this? Do you have an affiliate thing?
Right.
Something
Right.
like I want to share this with people because this
Yeah.
is genius.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to set that up to let people know. Um, I don't know of programs like this, and even if there are, it doesn't matter to me because I respect what you do. I feel the vibration of it, and I believe it's. I've seen testimonials. I believe it's something important for people, and I got people in mind right now
Mm,
who I've worked with to do spoken word, but they want to sing. They want to do
yeah.
other stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, you need to check out Haji's
Right.
program. So
Right. Come
go
on
ahead
over
and
here.
tell people what it's all about, man.
Right. So in essence, it's an 8 week long transformative journey that teaches a perfect beginner, someone that's never played an instrument, someone that doesn't have a relationship with their voice, and someone that's never written a song before, how to connect with your own musicality, to activate your musicality by learning how to play an instrument, very basically, learning the fundamentals and the language of music, so that when you're playing after the course, you can talk to somebody that is a musician. You can have the same conversation. You know how to express your song if you want someone to play along with you. So first is the language of music and learning how to play the instrument. Second is turning your personal affirmations into songs through an
Mm,
intuitive process that teaches you how to connect with what your affirmations are. And then the easiest step is that process, how to create songs out of that. And then the next part is combining it together. Now, this is the most important part. I can teach anyone how to play a ukulele in like 2 minutes. Easy. I can teach someone how to play a song, give me 2 more minutes, 4 minutes, boom. But when it comes to the confidence to show up, to shine, to feel like you're inside of your song and expressing from there, that's where the community element comes in at. So I've created a community of people that have gone through my course before, and we hold space for new songwriters, for old songwriters to honor their craft. And that's a part of the course as well, too. So
mm,
you're creating songs, sharing with the open community that's giving you feedback. That's because you can't do it if you don't have a community. If you're an artist and you're not sharing your music or sharing your expression, it's sitting on the shelf. I'm not saying that it's not valuable. Definitely it's valuable. But I believe that the songs that we create are meant to heal ourselves first, our medicine, but they're meant to share and to heal and connect with other people as well, because we're
yes.
all going through the same process and we're all looking for that inspiration. We connect on that. So that's what the course is. It comes with the ukulele if you don't have one, a whole kit for everything you need. And yeah, yeah, it's a
It's a
beautiful
turnkey.
process.
It's how can I put it? If you're not a songwriter, performing artist, and want to be, it's that in a box. Basically, giving you a turnkey solution to become that, which is just amazing, brother. Just
Thank you.
amazing. We'll have a link in the podcast for people to sign up, send them to directly to it, and so thank you. Well, I'll say
Yeah,
that for all the people that you have blessed, all the people that's gonna continue to be blessed in this program, thank you for setting it up. Um, I want to talk about too. I know
sure.
you've moved into retreats. I've seen some of the retreats you've been doing, that experience. One, I want to ask why you did it, and two, because I know, we all have different guidance or motivations or
Mhm,
whatever,
mhm.
and I know it can be a fulfilling thing, and it can be an abundant thing, which is an awesome thing. Why, and then what that experience has been like for you, and then what's coming up on the retreat end for you.
Got you. Got you. All right. So the why, um, in 2017, I was asked by a yogi to co-host a retreat in Bali. And I said, sure, let's go ahead and do it. So we set it up. I went there, played Bali Spirit Festival, and did this retreat. The behind the scenes was chaotic and hectic and just an experience. I look back on it now, but I got to watch how she facilitated, how she created space for people to come together and have transformation, have different conversations, have experiences in this beautiful
Mhm.
place. And I watched how that's put together. On the back end, it was some mess. But on the front end, the beautiful, so that inspired me because I love to hold space. So I created this ukulele songwriter, holistic ukulele songwriter retreat. And I
Mhm.
did it maybe a couple months after getting back from Bali. And I just created this process for people to go through. And it was 3 days and it was amazing because what I recognize, this is the personal element I could share with you about, but it was set up so well, organized so well, structured so well that when I wasn't needed throughout the process, I could be up in my room. I had hired somebody uh, to work, like to be kind of the liaison, the person that reported to me, and they would take care of it. They were like the mother, and it was such a wonderful connection that they had with the rest of the people. So I remember just laying up in my bed and just thinking of how grateful that I am hearing ukuleles being played all over the house, playing and people trying to find their tune and they're discovering their songs. And I'm just listening like, wow, this is amazing. Like,
Mm.
so that was my big takeaway and why from doing the retreats was being in that container with
Yeah.
people and watching them transform over 3 days.
Mm.
So what's coming up. And one thing I do also want to add in the process is that I am a film student. I went to school for film, one of my passions. I
No
love
wonder
film and
your
theater.
videos are so great.
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what I kept seeing throughout the ukulele songwriting immersions, the 8 week course, and the retreats, were that people were being transformed from day one to when they finished. They weren't the same person. They were a songwriter. They were embodying their song, and before they weren't. So I
Mm.
start to create these customer journeys where they have a video at the end of their process that goes over, documents their process of becoming a songwriter. And that's
Mm.
also added within the process, like professionally done. I have B-roll and, it's a
Whoa,
beautiful
that's
thing.
beautiful,
I
bro.
have examples in my course as well. So anyway, I did that for my retreats. When I first started doing retreats, I would host and then create videos on that as well too, of people's like their journey, what struggles they had, because they would be interviewed throughout the process. So that was a
Love
part
that.
of,
That's brilliant.
yeah,
That is brilliant, brother.
I
So,
appreciate it.
yeah. So the retreat that's coming up is what?
It's October 25th through 27th, and it's the Holistic Ukulele Songwriter Retreat. It's a 3 day long process. You just show up with the desire and the openness to want to learn your song, and I will take care of the rest. It's a step-by-step process. You have people with you that's going through the same process, that are at the same level you are, but you're going to be able to watch them grow into becoming a songwriter as you do yourself.
Beautiful. We'll share that as well. So let's talk about what your current practice looks like. You talked about affirmative prayer. You talked about, and when I say practice, I mean spiritual practice. I know I consider music part of a spiritual practice as well. Um, but for you, what does your spiritual practice look like? The frequency of it, and then not frequency as in vibration, but as
Sure,
in
sure,
like, do you do something daily, weekly? Like,
sure.
what does that look like? And then where has that led you by way of expansion and transcending what we think of as the three-dimensional experience or form? What transcendent experiences have you reached or gotten to experience through those practices? And
Okay.
I know, and music qualifies, bro. I've had some unifying experiences through music, so you could talk about that
Oh,
too if you
oh, you
want.
ain't
But
got
go
to tell
ahead.
me, brother. You know,
Yeah.
you know, I know.
Yeah.
So to be honest, mantra, meditation, and it's one thing I will say. I would say sitting with yourself, if I can say that.
Mm.
And I do that more now because I'm in Colombia. In America, the pace is a lot different. We go, 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 work,
Forgot
work,
to
work.
even ask you about that. Yes. Go. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Go
no worries. So I
ahead.
live in Colombia, and people that live in Colombia, the pace is a lot slower. They appreciate family. They take time to have coffee with friends on the side of the street. Sometimes they really,
Mm.
it's a slower pace. So that's, I feel like my practice has always supported that. But coming here has allowed me to go a little deeper, like having surroundings that support that inner, time sitting on the bench, watching, being aware of the surroundings. So, but going back to your answer, your question is, it's definitely meditation. It's definitely music, expression, mantra, singing the holy name, because living in ashrams and practicing bhakti yoga, which is devotional praise, singing the holy names, and doing any kind of work or service in the name of God or the deity of source, of however you connect with that. Um, and the meditation and the mindfulness has been a practice. So how I connect with another plane, or the example of how it works, for instance, my father just passed about 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
And we
Condolences.
I appreciate that. I'm glad he's where he's at right now. But I used that, not use that, but I used music, or I used expression as a way to move through that.
Mm.
Because, oftentimes as men, we're not encouraged to feel our feelings, to express. And what I find in life is what's not expressed becomes depressed.
Mm.
Another layer of something that you have to now walk around with, that you're wearing and you don't even know where. So anyway, I found that music for me is one of the ways in which I express. Dances is another one. I don't know if we ever talked about stag dance. We can talk about that
I don't
later,
think we
but
did.
we ain't
Go ahead
never
and touch
talked
on
about.
it now if you want
So
to.
I
Why
love
not? We
ecstatic
got
dance.
time.
We got time. I love ecstatic dance. The move and the energy and the intention behind the body moving
Yes.
that's one of my spiritual practices too. My goodness,
Beautiful.
dance. Let me just put to release. So
Yeah.
from doing that, from music or whatever. So anyway, I wound up meditating on my father, thinking about the good things that he's done. I think of death a little bit differently, not as normal, because I've had many people around me die, and I feel like I'm still connected to them. So it's taken some of the edge of my understanding and belief and how I feel about death moving into it. So um, I was able to think about my father and the good things about him. And I began to do that same thing I was doing at the beginning, and I could feel him coming through me. And I just started crying and releasing
Mm.
and can't even sing because you're choked up. And then go
Yep.
back into
Yep.
singing and stuff, and just really, and it released things that I was holding on to and didn't
Yeah.
know how to release. And had I not done that, I'd be carrying along that thing along with everything else as well that's being moved through me. So
That's
my
beautiful.
in that essence, my practice in action um, has served me amazingly. Now, when it comes to transcendental experiences, ever since I went to India and I had some experiences over there, it has it's greatly adjusted the way that I look at things and look at myself. And it's affected my meditation in a way that I can go deeper quicker than I ever have before.
Mm.
Usually, to be very honest, I'll meditate maybe for 30 minutes to an hour. It takes me about half of that time just to go, just it's like an elevator. That's the way I describe it. To go in, you're out of your mind, you're in, and then you're having the experience. So I'm able to go quicker into that state, into that space. Um, Along my practice. It's like it's a practice, it's what it
And
is.
what's that
It's
space? Let's talk about that space. What's that
sure.
space like for you? Like I can describe it in my experience. I want to hear from your experience. What is that experience like for you, and what do you get from that?
It's different things, but I would say it's like a reservoir. It's like a body of water, and when you dip into it, different experiences happen. When you come out of it, you gain something or you shed something, and you can feel it. I feel lighter or something in that process. So that's I guess that's a good description of what I feel. But it's different things at different times.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And what's beautiful, I'll just share this. The way I hear it
Mhm.
often is when we use those practices and that expansion occurs, that is aligning. That is being aligning, and the evidence of alignment is our expanded awareness, and that expanded awareness allows us to access different levels of consciousness that have whatever we need in the moment. And if we're
Right.
aligned, we're gonna get what we need. It's infinite
Exactly.
possibilities, but more importantly, that every moment's pregnant with infinite possibilities, but that alignment allows us to select what's best for us, right? And then
Right.
that's like you're saying, it's unique. It's gonna be
Mhm.
unique in any given moment. It might be grieving in that moment.
Mhm.
It might
Mhm.
be, and the funny thing is, even with grief, there's a dynamic bliss in grief. That release and that relief that comes from grieving is a type of bliss that most people avoid. You know what I'm
Totally.
saying? Most
Totally.
people
As
like, nah,
much as
I'll pass
possible.
on that.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
like, but it's healing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's
The
healing, bro. I've
treasures and
experienced
the
what you're talking
treasures in
about.
the challenge sometimes. The
Yeah,
treasure is in the challenge
that's
sometimes, and
it,
we don't
bro.
see it
That's it.
until we go through it.
That's
Yeah.
it, man. So love you sharing how your practices are helping you align, experience that expanded awareness, and receive those gifts and release what needs to be released. Because, yes, bro, I can so relate to what you described in that grieving process. And yeah, so kudos for you
Yeah,
doing the
bro.
work to heal. And I love what you said about the limited conditioned pattern, especially in the United States, but it's probably globally in some
Yeah.
cultures where men are taught to be a certain way and disconnect from the
Right.
energy of our emotions
Right.
and suppress, just like you said, depress, etc. Um, the intelligence that people call emotional intelligence, but really the divine intelligence leads us to learning how to integrate those emotions, learning how to actually release the resistance to them and actually getting the gifts, and then learning how to transform these old patterns that have the stuff stuck. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like all these
Right.
little blocks. And
Yeah.
then once we do that work, once we start transforming these traumas, releasing these blocks, that flow is so much easier to allow in life. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just some sort of beautiful flow that happens. I call it love. I call it source, the limitless love and light we are, whatever it is that flows more naturally once we've released those blocks. And then that divine and the very practices you're talking about allow us to access the consciousness that knows how to release the blocks, that knows
Right.
what needs to be released and
Right.
what method is going to be best in
Right.
that moment, you know? So that's
Right.
the work, man. That's beautiful healing work. I think men and talking to brothers like yourself that relate, I think that's the new masculine, bro. That's the new masculine is honoring the feminine, honoring and bringing them together and having them work in harmony. And we think,
You better, because if you're not in these days, it's another expression or feeling you're gonna be dealing with.
yeah, it's gonna
Like,
be. Let's put it this way: it's gonna be more hell
right. There you go.
if you're not, you know.
There
So I
you go.
love it, man. Loving everything you're sharing and how you're showing up. I feel like one to ask you really your dream, vision, dreams. What's either what's coming from above that you're seeing you are to create, in addition to what you're already doing, of course. Is there any other vision that's been coming through that you might want to share that you're being called to support? And then let's talk about how you got to Colombia.
Sure. Um, my vision's been clear for a while now. I feel like at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I was encouraged by my coach to really focus on what I want. Um, I feel like before then I had been in a pattern of perpetual healing. I think you know what I mean when I say that, a pattern of
Yes.
perpetual healing, but not creating what I want to vision. So it caused me to stop. What do I want? Feminine,
Yes.
masculine balance. If it's too much of this, you ain't gonna go where you got
Bingo.
to go to. So um,
Bingo.
I started to visualize what I wanted, really ask that question, what do I want? But, and just to write in pencil and let God write in pen, for what I desire. And I see myself creating a space in Thailand or Bali where people can come to go through a process, a retreat center where they go through the process of connecting with their sound, of leaving society for a while, leaving that bubble of confusion and coming to a space of sacredness to where they eat the best foods, to where they're influenced to something that's going to help change their life for the rest of their life. So creating spaces for that for people. And then me being surrounded by amazing friends that I have had my whole entire life, and traveling and helping and spreading more light. That is in essence my vision. And I've been doing it, but I want to do it on a different level, now, because I'm more so now focusing on my entrepreneurial endeavors, which we haven't talked about at all. But what we have too, so with the retreats and things like that, a little bit. But that is a passion of entrepreneurs or building the path of manifestation, building something from an idea that serves someone and offers value, and also they invest within me because of offering it. So I think that's an amazing way to live and receive. And yeah.
I love that, brother. So you touched on probably three things. I want to give some feedback, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief.
Gotcha.
The too much healing. I love that, bro, because what I have found in my own journey is in found in supporting others and coaching others and all of that is it's easy to deal with the suppressed things that come up, the triggers and all that stuff, and start looking at that and feeling like you've got to get beyond that before you can move forward.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And that you got to fix all this before you can
Right.
step out. And it's a false belief, but
Right.
nonetheless, I think that's why a lot of people end up getting stuck. They feel like, oh no, it's so funny. They feel like, it's like, man, I'm hearing I need to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm hearing I got to do it. I got to get grounded first. Getting
Right.
grounded, it's not
Right.
working. I got to go figure out how to go get grounded. Get
Right.
grounded. When all the
Right.
time your healing comes through the surrender to the action.
Right.
Like you can do that, but if it's not working, just tune
Right.
in and hear what you need to do and move forward in it. You ain't gotta like we put all these requirements on what state we need to be in
Right.
internally or X, Y, and
Right.
Z before we can show up and do the action we are to do the work that creates the manifestation. It's kind of like another case in point, writing a song, right?
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
like writing a song. The you can think of the internal work as the listening for the melody. I'm having a hard time tuning in, hearing the melody. All
Mm.
right. How about trying singing? How about
Right.
trying to pick up your instrument? How about taking
Right.
some action and pushing record? Let's see
Right.
what happens then. You don't have to
Yes.
write the whole song in the head. You
Yeah.
need to show up and do the action. But a lot of people
Exactly.
think, oh, I gotta compose the whole thing in my
Right.
head first and do the
Right.
whole song.
I got to
No,
call the record label first before I start
yeah, yeah, yeah.
writing it, actually, be sure that I'm set up. So,
Right.
yeah.
It's like, no, no. So I love that too much healing analogy and balancing. And I'm not saying action is the antidote,
Totally. Totally.
but it is finding that balance, and your practice leads you to that harmony and that balance and tell you when enough's enough of working this. Now it's time to act. So thank you for
Right.
bringing that up. Secondly, your retreat center. I'm just affirming that retreat center in Bali. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to be a part
Yes.
of it. And I
Yes.
had a
So it is.
question. Have you
Sure.
heard of Michael Frante's space over there?
I've been to Brother Michael's space when I was over there last time. I think he had just built it, maybe about a year. I went and performed and played over there, met him. He's a great
Beautiful.
guy. His space is amazing. Like for what it is, it's amazing. It is
Beautiful.
amazing.
Just wondered if it came up in my consciousness.
Yeah.
I wondered, so you have experienced that. That's awesome. And then there was one more thing you said. I said three things. I can't remember the third, so we're gonna let it come back later.
Yeah.
So the Colombia. How did you get to Colombia? What
So
led you there?
sure. So I came to Colombia about 3 years ago. It was during COVID. Like COVID, I guess maybe a year after COVID, a little less, but Colombia had opened up its borders. So I didn't want to live in America. I wanted to actually, my business was doing very, very well at that time. And I wanted to scale my business. So
Around what year was this?
this was 2021.
Nice, nice. So this is during
2021.
COVID. That's awesome.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah. So it was doing well. COVID, anyway, that time was a blessing for me. I'll be very, so it ain't a popular
Listen,
opinion, but I'm
right.
sorry, that time was a transitional time for me that
Yes.
is beautiful. I'm sorry for everyone that didn't have that experience,
Yes.
um, but so I want to move into Colombia to lessen my expenses when I was paying for things to be able to scale my business, and I did that for a good year and a half while I was here. And just loved it. Like I would travel, everything's really inexpensive. So I would travel from different places, just checking things out, having adventures, man. That's the main thing, just
Mm,
having adventures here and working at my business, working at building new courses when I first got here, dealing with the flow of what I'm doing, advertising, marketing, everything was kind of mixed up in being here. And it's been 3 years. It's
beautiful.
been an amazing journey so far.
And somehow I know you were recently back in the States because I saw something post on
Yeah,
SLCA Atlanta. I was
yeah,
like, what? Haji's here. That's awesome.
yeah.
We never did get to connect, but we'll do
We
it
never
next time.
connected, but I was so last year they changed the visa issues here. So what I was doing, I was staying for about 6 months, and then I would do fly to another country, come back, renew my visa, there for 2 years. Last year, unbeknownst to me, they changed the process. So you could only stay in Colombia for 3 months throughout a whole year on the visa I had. So here I was, flew out to Panama, came back to Colombia. No, sir, you cannot enter this country
Oh,
until
snap.
9 months from now. So
Wow.
I couldn't enter. All my stuff was here. I had to leave, go to the States. Um, Brother David, all was so kind of let me stay at his place for 5 months because him and his husband were going to India and to do some work over there for 5 months. So I got to stay in this beautiful place. And it
How
was such
cool.
inspiring and everything like that. So that was a bit of a journey, but I finally got back about maybe 3 months ago. I've been here, and yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful. So what an incredible, incredible journey you have had. I know we just touched on some of it, bro.
yeah, for sure.
We could probably keep going. We're gonna save
Yeah,
it for the next time.
sounds
The
good, brother.
rest. Is there anything else you want to share you didn't get a chance to share?
Sure.
Just whatever that is.
Sure. So one more thing I would say is that there are people that I know that have gifts, that have experiences, that have wisdom that they want to share that they're sitting on that they're not sharing. And those gifts and experiences are also a way to create more income, help other people transform. One course that I do, I focus on is the offer creation course. It teaches you how to
Mm,
turn your gifts, your experiences, your wisdom, your passions even into a physical course that you can give online to create more income and more transformation in your life. High ticket, like $1,000 or more, and how to set that customer journey up so that you create a community of people that connect with you. And it's step by step. Everything's done for you. Just fill in the blank for the most part. So that's the offer creation course. I'm doing one coming up
oh,
on
that's beautiful.
the 29th of June. So I'll give you a link for that too as well. But it's a 9 week
Perfect.
long, a 5 week long course. And afterwards, you'll have a fully functional course that you can offer and start making more change and transformation in people's lives.
Oh, brother, you just doing it all, man. Just serving in powerful ways. I love that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Haji, for who you are, how you're showing up as the divine blessing folk. I can feel blessings coming through that one as well.
Yeah.
And love it, man. So can't wait to share. Everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode. Haji, I look forward to seeing how we get to collaborate further and enjoying this collaboration, giving thanks to the divine, giving thanks to the source, giving thanks to the guides that keep organizing incredible ways for us to expand, to collaborate, to remind each other of our oneness, our perfection, and our power as we align with the divine. And so it is.
And so it is, brother.
Peace out, everyone. See you next time.